Good morning. It's a beautiful day today in Stoughton.
It's great. It's a wonderful day today.
Today, we're going to be having the Memorial Day Parade, and we're going to be commentating this. And this is Doug Barr. He's with the American Legion. He's a veteran. I'm Kathy Rigdon. I am an auxiliary member of the American Legion. And we would like to take a moment before this parade begins to thank all of the women and men that have served our country. And you'll see a banner today that says, "Freedom is not free." Take a moment to thank the veterans that you know or somebody that passes you by and thank them for their service. The parade is going to start here in a couple minutes. It starts at 10 o'clock at South Prairie Street here in Stoughton, and it's going to go from Prairie Street down to the Man Park. Immediately following will be the Memorial Day ceremony. Would also like to thank Stoughton's local channel, WSTO, for sending a crew today to tape the parade and also the Memorial Day program. Today we have John, well known as Jack London, that's doing the taping, and it will be available for view on WSTO. Doug, not only is he a veteran and a member of the American Legion, I always say he's a singer extraordinaire because you do karaoke, do the jam down at the Legion, and welcome.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here today, and with Kathy, I was invited to do this. So as she said, I am a United States Navy veteran, and I was in the service for 4 years as a hospital corpsman. So I never saw a ship. People ask me, "Were you on a ship?" Nope, never saw one. But basically, I was stationed at hospitals in the United States. So.
And where basically were you serving?
Well, I was at Great Lakes, Illinois, where I did boot camp, and then I did hospital corps school, and from there I actually worked at the hospital there, but I wanted to get out of Great Lakes, Illinois, because I grew up in Michigan, and so I ended up, I was in Colorado. And I was telling Kathy, people, when I tell them that, they say, "What was the Navy doing in Colorado?" And it was actually school, but I always tell them that we were waiting for the snow to melt. So, but anyway, so ended up in Corpus Christi, Texas, and that's where I finished my tour of duty.
Great, thanks. Well, as soon as the parade starts, we'll be announcing who's coming down and when. We see that the Chief of Police is going to be coming down here in a minute. We do want to take 1 minute to tell you that the VFW Post 328 is located here at 200 Veterans Road in Stoughton. That's the east side of town. They do have a bar that's open to the public. They serve a great lunch every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And they also have a Friday night fish fry that's really good, too. So, Doug, how about if you and I start watching this parade here?
We'll be good.
So the parade today is led by Chief of Police Dan Jenks. Dan is our newly elected Chief of Police in the last, I believe, year. He started out at the Stoughton Police Department as a parole police officer, worked up the ranks, ended up retiring, and then coming back to be the Chief of Police. Behind the squad car, we're going to see the mounted parade marshal, who is Mary Haugen. She's riding her horse, Boaz, and she's carrying the American flag. Mary is a member of the American Legion Auxiliary. There we got a wave from the Chief of Police.
Beautiful horse that she's riding.
For years, Cliff Merritt's I think it was Cliff Merritt's that would ride in the parade. It is not easy to have a horse ride in the parade. You have to get accustomed to it. It can be really jittery with the different sirens, so it's a great thing when we can get a horse.
I agree with that. I'm not a horse. I don't ride horses.
Oh, you're not a horse person? Next is the American Legion Color Guard. This year's Color Guard is made up of Tom Jenny, Mike Shefferall, Ed Nowicki, Tim Carter, and Arlen Tigan. They are all members of the American Legion Honor Guard, and they provide many military rites services at funerals and in this area. Making their way up the street in the parade is the 3rd District American Legion Riders. You'll be hearing them when they come by. They make a lot of noise.
Yeah, it's always fun like that.
You may have seen the VFW sold poppies this couple weekends ago, and this last weekend the American Legion Auxiliary distributed poppies for our veteran programs too. Oh, and speaking of which, we've got Lori Vogt that's just coming by with some poppies that she's selling. So, thanks, Lori. Next is coming the Stoughton Marching Band, and it's led by director Dan Schmidt. I noticed at the Set of My Parade, I don't know if these are new uniforms, but they sure look nice.
They are. They're a lot nicer. Well, I don't want to say they're nicer than the other ones they had when my daughter and son were in high school. But I remember those uniforms, they were quite warm to be wearing, especially in this type of weather.
And you always know when it's a nice day when they can wear their plumes.
Right.
Riding in the first car are the honored parade marshals. This is Mike Curry and Rob Drugsvold. Mike is the commander of the American Legion Post 59, and Rob is the commander of the Veteran of Foreign Wars Post 328. The car is owned by Lori Hodge and driven by Marty Zipwa. Next, we have two past commanders of the VFW, Bud Erickson and Rob Koyo. They're riding in a Model T Ford, owned and driven by Daryl Lund. Following this next car are two post commanders of the American Legion, Joe Erickson and Sonny Swanstu. Sonny served as the American Legion commander for 13 years until 2019. This is a Mustang convertible owned and driven by Donna Norland. How about if you take over?
Yeah,
You can do some of this.
I'll give your voice a rest, Kathy. Seated in the next two cars are our Stoughton area Purple Heart veterans. The Purple Heart is the oldest active military award in the United States and is presented to individuals who have shown military merit and sustained wounds under combat conditions. Seated in the first car are the Purple Heart recipients, Greg Vodak and Jason Johns. Greg served in the Vietnam War in the Marine Corps, and Jason served in Iraq in the Army. They are riding in an open-top Jeep owned and driven by Kathleen Williamson. I think that one passed. Oh, well.
Yes, it did.
And our next car is World War II veteran David Cuff. David will celebrate his 100th birthday in August of this year. He served in the Army Air Force during the war in the glider program. He was part of the invasion of Sicily and D-Day invasion over the beaches in France. He's riding in a 68 Firebird convertible owned by the Legion service officer Mike Ayers and driven by Mike's son Jesse Ayers, and riding along with Mike's grandson.
And had a little bottleneck up there, huh, to try to get all these words in.
It is. It is. Carrying the "Freedom is not free" banner and leading the Veterans Float this morning is the Sons of the American Legion Squadron, First Vice Commander Dean Stengen and Auxiliary Member Julie Stengen. And we got away from Julie. Thank you. Seated on the float are Stoughton area veterans from all branches of service from all eras. They are being saluted by the crowds as they drive by. Well, it's so good to see many of our local veterans on this float this morning. And the semi-driver is Dave Slater. The truck is owned. The truck owner is Greg Stranley, and the trailer owner is Troy Wagner.
So good to see so many of these veterans, and they're all active in both the VFW and the American Legion.
Yeah, that is wonderful to see that. There's some empty chairs. We need more. Following our veterans float is a 1970 M35A2 cargo truck owned by American Legion member Larry Johnson. This 2.5-ton cargo truck is better known by military personnel as a deuce and a half. It is licensed as a historic military vehicle. It was used to transport food, supplies, and ammunition.
Coming up next is the American Legion Honor Guard bus. The Honor Guard members ride together in this van as they attend many of the funerals that they attend. There are 27 Guard members, and they conduct about 35 to 40 honors at funerals a year in Stoughton and surrounding communities, including Madison. They also participate in area events such as raising and lowering the flag on opening day of the Dane County Fair every year. At the programs this morning, they will be conducting the flag folding ceremony, rifle salute, and taps. This is a very busy honor guard, and Stoughton is very lucky to have them. Many communities don't have an honor guard. Our program speaker is coming by next. It's Jerry Hook. He's riding in this car, this next car. Jerry is currently serving as the 3rd District Commander of the American Legion and is also the Wisconsin Air National Guard Airman and Family Readiness Program Manager at Truex. Jerry is retired after serving 25 years in the U.S. Army, finishing his career at the Pentagon. He lives in Mount Horeb with his wife Margaret and 2 children. Jerry is riding in a Buick, is that a Rietta? Is that That's called convertible. Rieta or Riata, convertible that's owned and driven by James Schumacher. Riding next in this black GMC truck is the state of Wisconsin VFW Senior Vice Commander Ron Ramos, along with his Deputy Chief of Staff Sandra Meckham and her children. Ron will soon be installed as the state of Wisconsin VFW Commander. Up next is the Master of Ceremonies for today's program, Jordan Tillison. Jordan is the Junior Vice Commander of the Stoughton VFW Post 328. He's riding in a 1968 fire... Oh, he's not in the convertible. He is riding in this Jeepster. There was a little switch up just before the program. He's riding in a Willys Overland Jeepster, which was owned and driven by Tom Roloff. Okay, next we should see here who's going on. This is the mayor of Stoughton and the chaplain, Pastor Wendy Moen from the Covenant Lutheran Church. The mayor is Tim Swadley, which we all know. The pastor will be giving the invocation and the benediction at today's program, and the mayor will be giving the welcome. They're riding in a 1949 Willys Overland Jeepster owned and driven by Dale Hansen. Willys Overland manufactured roughly one half of the 70,000 Jeeps used in the U.S. Army. We did miss seeing, I will get back to the VFW that we had. We'll get the next two auxiliary in a minute here. Let's go up to the Legion Miss Poppy.
So next up is the American Legion Auxiliary Miss Poppy, Hannah Peterson. Hannah's a student at Sand Hill Elementary School. Miss Poppy serves as an advocate for the Poppy program. This past weekend, the American Legion Auxiliary, along with some Legion members, distributed poppies at local businesses. 100% of the funds raised from the Poppy distribution go to support veteran projects and programs, both local and statewide. She is in a Chrysler LeBaron owned by Dwayne Tigan and driven by his daughter Lori. Riding along in the car is Marilyn Tigan, who is also an auxiliary member. We have the American Legion Auxiliary Junior member Ashley Litticoat. Ashley was recently awarded the State of Wisconsin Junior Spirit of Youth Scholarship. This is quite an award. Only one scholarship is awarded by the state each year. Ashley has been a member of the auxiliary for 18 years and is graduating in June. She will be attending UW La Crosse in the medical field in the fall. She is riding in a Mustang convertible owned and driven by auxiliary member Sharon Silbaugh, along with past auxiliary president Marlene Bierman.
You know, it's kind of hard sometimes to keep up because they can get a little bit congested, but we did miss talking about the VFW American Legion Unit 328 officers that were President Sandy Sproul and Secretary Joanne Bartley, a lifelong member Evelyn Call. The car that they rode in was owned and driven by Rand Luther.
Thank you, Kathy. Now we have the River Bluff Middle School Marching Band, directed by Elliot Rittenberry. You know, music is so important in our culture, and I love seeing all these kids involved in the music program. Coming up behind the band is the Stoughton Fire Department with Chief Joshua Ritt. Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts of Stoughton have lined the parade route on Main Street and have been saluting veterans as they pass by and have been handing our flags to the little ones in the crowd. They will join in the parade now and march on to the Mann Center, where they will participate in the wreath ceremony and floral tribute.
You know, Doug, one of the things, too, that I missed because of the congestion was the American Legion Auxiliary Unit 59 President Amy Hermes, along with the auxiliary member Lana Alberg and the Secretary Kate Schmidt. They were riding in today's vehicle that Kate owns. It's a Mercedes-Benz 400.
So the Stoughton Police and the Stoughton area EMS with Lisa. Yep, I'll let her say that because I would destroy that. They're now going to be ending the parade shortly. You mentioned about the VFW, the American Legion Post 59. Did we get to that at all? Okay, so it's located at 803 North Page Street here in Stoughton. The bar there is also open to the public. They have a meat raffle every Saturday, and they have a breakfast every third Sunday of the month. And if you haven't been to that, it's quite a nice meal to go to.
You know, Doug, there's a lot of planning that goes into today's event. Lining up all of the different entries in the parade here. Everybody loving the parade. You talked about the bands. Everyone loves the music in the parades. And today the parade directors were Mike Ayers and Rick Cumlin. And they did a lot of work. And then this is just the beginning, because after this we've got the ceremonies down at Man Park. And if you haven't seen that, that is always so heartfelt to go to, honoring the veterans and the speeches. It's about an hour ceremony. If you haven't seen it before, you could plan on coming next year, but it should be aired on WSTO following this parade.
And also, Kathy, we have the Legion, American Legion has some events going on afterwards, correct?
Yes, the American Legion has an open house that they're hosting after this celebration. What happens is each year they have the American Legion. There's Dave Erdman, American Legion bartender, newly bartender of the American Legion and an EMT for several years on Stoughton EMS. But yes, so each year the VFW takes one. Host it. Yes, they alternate, and the next is the VFW, and once the Legion.
So it's been wonderful to be able to participate in this this occasion today, and I appreciate being here with Kathy, and being invited to this. Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks, Doug. You know, I said before we started, we had our script to remember to be able to tell us what car and who's in it. And I said we were not going to run out of things to say. We were going to run out of time to say it because both of us have a gift to gab. Please stop down at the American Legion sometime to that open bar. It's a great place to be. Or stop out at the VFW. They've got a lot of activities there. And thank you so much. Thank you very much, Jack, for filming this.
Thank you.